Hello, my friend. Welcome to your bedtime story. I'm Michelle, and it's my privilege to be your companion tonight. In this story, you'll meet Snow White. Let's listen to the timeless tale of Snow White captivating your hearts. Get ready to embark on a magical adventure filled with dwarfs, an evil queen, and a charming prince. Let's dive into the enchanted world of Snow White, and it will transport you to a land of wonder and imagination. Now, let's start with a relaxation session. Take a few minutes as I count down from 10 to 1. Allow yourself to let go, starting from 10, feeling the support beneath you. Feel that solidity, that constant support beneath you. 9. Realize that the day is done. What's past is gone, and what will be is yet to come. 8. Allow my voice to be a voice of safety. Feel gratitude for this moment, the opportunity of sleep, and the comfort of listening to a cozy bedtime story. 7. Remember, we all deserve rest. Your body has worked hard, it's time to let it rest. Find peace within you. 6. Visualize a serene woodland, a cozy forest, painting that picture in your mind. 5. Let go of any residual tension. Your body deserves this rest, allow it to relax completely. 4. See that inviting woodland clearly, a place of calm and comfort. 3. Imagine an inviting forest, where every being greets each other, creating a sense of community. 2. Feel any remaining tension melting away. You are safe, you can let go. 1. Open your imagination, be ready to hear the story of Trio. Chapter 1. The Birth of Snow White. The kingdom of Eversnow, nestled in a valley between tall, forested mountains, was adorned with rolling green hills and vibrant wildflower meadows as far as the eye could see. It was a land of natural beauty and peace where villagers lived simply yet joyfully. Their beloved King Frederick and his fair Queen Rosalind had long wished for a child to call their own. For years, they prayed fervently, holding on to hope even as disappointment followed each month without news of an heir. But one morning, as the sun's golden rays crested over the misty mountain peaks to paint the waking world in a warm, radiant glow, the Queen awoke with a contented smile. She knew in her heart that their prayers had been answered at last. Word of the Queen's pregnancy quickly spread throughout the kingdom, from the castle town to the farthest villages, carried by gleeful messengers on swift steeds. In each home and shop, the news was met with whoops and hollers of jubilation. Children danced through streets strewn with flower petals, the hills echoing with songs of joy and celebration that lasted long into the night. At last, their beloved monarchs would bring new life to the kingdom and assure its bright future for generations to come. Months passed in a whirlwind of activity. The Queen's ladies-in-waiting doted on her every need, and the king spared no expense readying the nursery with treasures from every corner of the realm. Through autumn rains and winter snows, Rosalind's belly grew, as did the impatience and anticipation of the people waiting to catch their first glimpse of the new prince or princess. On a beautiful spring morning, when sweet birdsong heralded the dawning of a new day, the Queen's cries rang out from the royal chambers. Maester Martin was swiftly called to attend. For hours, the kingdom held its breath until, at last, a tiny wail joined the dawn chorus, drifting on the breeze through open castle windows. The maester cleansed and swaddled the babe, then placed the pink, squalling bundle gently in the Queen's tired but beaming arms. A daughter, he declared. As fair and delicate as the first snowfall. And so, the princess was named Snow White. Word was sent throughout the land, and celebrations began anew to welcome their little snowflake, the new hope and light of the kingdom of Eversnow. Chapter 2. The Jealous Queen. As the years passed, Princess Snow White blossomed into a vision of ethereal beauty and grace. Each passing day illuminated her loveliness, akin to the first snowfall, catching the morning sun's glow. Within the castle walls, Snow White's ringing laughter and carefree spirit lifted the hearts of all who heard it. Lords and ladies from neighboring kingdoms traveled great distances to catch a glimpse of the radiant princess, captivated by her dimpled smiles and joyful dancing that won their hearts. Tales of her beauty spread throughout the land, echoing in every tavern and cottage, from these lands to the distant seas. Yet, amidst this enchantment, a darker sentiment took root in Queen Rosalind's once fair heart. Witnessing Snow White joining the yearly spring maple dances, her porcelain skin and raven locks aglow like a living masterpiece, stirred a strange tightening within the queen's breast. Initially dismissed, this unwanted sensation burgeoned over time, twisting into gnarled vines of envy that slowly choked out all other emotions. Each gift and act of adoration bestowed upon the princess became a dagger to the queen's pride. Once celebrated for her own loveliness, she now perceived her beauty eclipsed by another's radiance. With each passing season, Snow White seemed to grow more luminous, while the queen, gazing upon her own aging face, felt growing distress. Alone within her opulent chambers, consumed by brewing discontent, the queen's envy metastasized into an obsession with reclaiming her lost glory. She spent long, solitary hours scrutinizing her appearance for any sign of imperfection, real or imagined, to soothe her bruised ego. Finally, the suffocating vines of jealousy tightened, bearing poisonous fruit. A sinister scheme began to take shape in the queen's twisted mind, fueled by her frenzied conviction that she must eliminate the perceived threat to her reign as the fairest of all. Chapter 3: The Fateful Wish. On that fateful evening, a sinister gloom seemed to descend upon the castle walls as twilight's shadows lengthened. Within her lavish chambers, Queen Rosalind paced agitatedly before the ornate full-length mirror, an heirloom passed down through generations of royal women, woven with mystical enchantments. Its polished silver surface gleamed like a window peering into destiny. In times of doubt or discord, the queens of old sought counsel, standing before it to receive guidance through its whispered replies. Now, with mounting unrest gnawing at her composure, Rosalind halted, lifting her chin defiantly. Her gaze fixed upon her shimmering reflection as she challenged, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" A weighty silence hung in the air for long moments. Then, with soft yet resolute tones, the mirror intoned its fateful reply, "Snow White, my queen, is the fairest of them all." Struck as if by a blow, Rosalind staggered backward, her cheeks ablaze with fury. "Impossible," she shrieked, her fists clenching white-knuckled at her sides. "That young girl has yet to see her 16th summer. How can she surpass me in the full bloom of my womanhood?" Despite her denial, a profound truth pierced her heart. Each passing day, the blossoming princess surpassed even nature's loveliest creations, while Rosalind's own beauty had begun to fade. Denial swiftly twisted into loathing as she glimpsed through the mirror a grim prospect, a life dwelling in another's magnificent shadow. A steely resolve settled upon her, freezing the queen's features into a mask of glacial malice. "We shall see about that," she hissed, a vow as foreboding as the thunderheads now gathering outside. Her destiny had solidified into unyielding resolve. By any means necessary, Snow White would be eliminated and her titles reclaimed, or the kingdom would suffer the consequences of her wrathful vengeance. Chapter 4: The Cottage in the Woods. Exhausted and alone, Snow White fled deeper into the dense forest, branches grasping at her cloak like gnarled fingers. Her heart pounded relentlessly as images of the queen's wrathful visage flashed in her mind. Stumbling at last into a small clearing, tears blurred her vision as despair threatened to overwhelm her. Through the haze of her tears, a flickering light in the distance caught her attention. Curiosity piqued, she picked her way towards it and gasped. Nestled amid a circle of towering sentinels was the most welcoming sight. A picturesque cottage stood bathed in golden lantern glow, as if it had been awaiting her arrival. Flowering ivy danced merrily across its rounded walls, while smoke lazily curled from the stone chimney. Snow White hastened closer on unsteady legs, sensing the promise of shelter and respite. Gently, she knocked on the stout oaken door, receiving no answer. Testing the iron latch, she found it yielding, and cautiously ventured inside. Sweet scents of pine and spice engulfed her, and by the fire's light, she saw everything was neatly kept, a home clearly well loved. Her eyes absorbed the coziness, sturdy furnishings, an abundance of pots brimming with herbs and flowers. On the table, 7 bowls of hearty stew awaited, still steaming. Hunger eventually overcame her fear, and she sat down to eat, her strength slowly returning. By the hearth, she reclined, examining the portraits hanging there, 7 jovial faces beaming back at her, strangers who now felt akin to family. As night fell and woodland songs serenaded the forest, Snow White's eyes grew heavy with comfort and security. Here, in this magically appearing home, she found refuge, if only momentarily. Unaware that her solace came with hidden ties, she had yet to realize that on the morrow, her destiny would intertwine with the 7 dwarfs of the mountains in ways she could never have anticipated. Chapter 5: Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. As Snow White ventured deeper into the enchanted forest, she stumbled upon a hidden sanctuary nestled amidst the verdant trees. A quaint cottage stood, seemingly untouched by time, its charm inviting and mysterious. Guided by curiosity, Snow White cautiously stepped inside, discovering a haven of tidiness and coziness. The rooms emanated a quaint simplicity, each corner narrating a silent tale of lives lived within. In one chamber, 7 small beds meticulously adorned awaited, each accompanied by a set of perfectly sized clothes for her newfound friends. The cottage whispered of absent inhabitants, dearly missed. Unbeknownst to her, this sanctuary belonged to 7 friendly dwarfs toiling in nearby mines. Grumpy, happy, sleepy, bashful, sneezy, dopey, and Doc, each bearing unique traits, returned from their laborious work to find an unexpected visitor in their midst. Upon their return, they discovered Snow White nestled peacefully in one of their beds, her serene slumber an unexpected surprise within their humble abode. Their initial astonishment melted into curiosity and warmth as they beheld the sight of the sleeping maiden, a sense of kinship blooming in their hearts. Snow White's arrival marked a pivotal moment, weaving together the destinies of these disparate souls. Unaware that these 7 dwarfs, with their distinct personalities, would soon become her closest companions in this enchanted forest. Chapter 6: A Day in the Dwarf's Home. Each new dawn at the cottage held the promise of discovery and delight. Snow White awoke to the sizzle of bacon and the joyful chatter drifting up the steep stairs. Descending, she would find the dwarfs each more colorful than the last, bustling about the cozy kitchen. "Morning, Snow Girl." Happy would chirp, spinning merrily as he portioned apples into bowls. Bashful's mumbled greeting was muffled by his muffin, while Grumpy grumbled over spilled coffee just to elicit her melodic laughter. Together, they shared a hearty meal, exchanging updates on blooming flowers and dozing animals in the glen. As the dwarfs readied tools and lanterns for the mines, Snow White busied herself by tidying the already immaculate rooms. She dusted trinkets and woodland knickknacks, marveling at artifacts older than memory. Soon, her hum transformed into song, drifting through open windows to beckon the birds home. By noon, she joined the dwarfs' picnic in a sun-dappled glade, where tales from the lower levels mingled with hopes for the bubbling kettles over the fire. Full and drowsy from hearty stew, they lingered until beams melted into gold, reluctantly parting ways with calls to reconvene at home for supper. Evenings found them gathered by the fire, cozy and content with dulcimer, fiddle, and flute. Their voices wove into an air that calmed worries and illuminated their souls with a warmth unmatched elsewhere in the forest or beyond. Here, amidst simple beauty, both body and spirit found nourishment. Chapter 7: The Mirror's Revelation. Within the grandeur of her opulent chambers, Queen Rosalind paced relentlessly, consumed by an unrelenting envy gnawing at her heart. Night after night brought no respite, her sleepless form tossing upon silken sheets haunted by visions of Snow White's radiant presence. Now standing before the ornate, ancient mirror that had counseled queens for ages, its surface glimmered in the dim firelight like a gateway to concealed truths. Straightening her silk gown, Rosalind lifted her chin, fixing her gaze intently upon the mirror's depths. "Reveal Snow White to me," she demanded, and was granted a glimpse of the princess laughing in a sunlit glade, surrounded by creatures and dwarfs. Rage ignited within her at the sight, stoking the long-buried flames of resentment and madness. Once more, she posed the dreaded question, her voice trembling. "Mirror, mirror, on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" A weighty silence held the air. Then, softly, "Snow White, my queen, is the fairest of them all." An uncontrollable fury seized her. Rosalind screamed, tearing at her garments, shattering the mirror to shards with a jeweled scepter. Yet even in shattered pieces, it echoed, fragments containing hints of Snow White's radiance that threatened to undo her. In the shadows of her heart, madness sprouted like poisonous vines. That very night, amid the wreckage of her shattered vanity, Rosalind vowed that Snow White would not live to see another dawn. By any means necessary, the perceived usurper would be eliminated, and the true fairest would reign alone once more. Chapter 8: The Poisoned Apple. The forest air was crisp, carrying the subtle whispers of impending danger as the disguised queen, bearing a poisoned apple, ventured forth. Her heart seethed with determination to rid herself of Snow White. Disguised as an old peddler woman, she skillfully crafted an apple, its enticing appearance concealing the curse within. With calculated steps, she made her way through the woods toward the cottage where Snow White resided. Her mind swirled with sinister thoughts, fueled by jealousy and a thirst for vengeance. As the cottage came into view, her grip tightened around the poisoned fruit. A devious smile played upon her lips as she approached the unsuspecting princess. The queen, now an elderly woman, knocked on the door of the cottage. Snow White, ever gentle and trusting, welcomed the old peddler inside. Oblivious to the impending danger, she engaged in conversation with the disguised queen, who offered the poisoned apple as a gesture of goodwill. "With this apple, your dreams will come true," the queen crooned, her voice masking the malevolence within her words. Snow White, captivated by the apple's beauty, took a bite without a hint of suspicion. No sooner had she tasted the fruit than its cursed effects began to take hold. Snow White faltered, her eyes growing heavy as the poison's potent magic enveloped her. With a sinister chuckle, the queen vanished into the woods, leaving Snow White in a state of eternal slumber. The dwarfs, upon their return, were met with a devastating sight. Snow White lay motionless, as if in a deep, unbreakable sleep. Grief-stricken and helpless, they cradled her in their arms, their tears mingling with the evening dew. Their beloved friend, the beacon of light in their lives, now lay in a state of enchantment, a victim of the queen's wickedness. Determined not to let her fade away, they fashioned a glass coffin, encasing Snow White in its fragile embrace, and placed it at the heart of the forest, hoping against hope for a miracle that would break the curse. The forest mourned in silence, the rustle of leaves echoing the sorrow that had befallen them. Yet, amidst the despair, a glimmer of hope lingered, a hope that true love's power would one day bring an end to Snow White's deep slumber. Chapter 9: The Deep Slumber. The forest stood still, wrapped in an eerie silence as Snow White lay in her enchanted slumber within the glass coffin. Time seemed to halt in that secluded part of the woods, where the dwarfs kept vigil, their hearts heavy with despair. Seasons passed, and the forest continued its quiet existence, nurturing life around the glass coffin that held Snow White. Flowers bloomed and withered, animals came and went, yet the princess remained untouched by the passage of time, trapped in an unending sleep. The dwarfs, unwavering in their dedication, visited her often, tending to the glass coffin with tender care. They hoped and prayed for the prophecy of true love's kiss to come to fruition, for only such a pure and genuine act could break the curse that had ensnared Snow White. News of the cursed princess spread far and wide, reaching the ears of travelers, bards, and wanderers who ventured through the enchanted forest. Legends and tales were spun about the sleeping beauty, her unparalleled grace, and the unyielding hope that love would eventually conquer the dark magic that held her captive. Yet, in the heart of the forest, amidst the whispers of leaves and the gentle rustle of wildlife, Snow White lay serenely, her existence suspended in a timeless slumber. The dwarfs never lost faith, believing that somewhere, somehow, true love would find its way to awaken her from this endless sleep. Chapter 10: The Prince's Arrival. Amidst distant lands and tales of a sleeping beauty, the story of Snow White reached the ears of a valiant and noble prince. Stirred by the tale of the cursed princess, he felt an unexplainable pull, a sense of destiny guiding him toward the enchanted forest where she lay in an eternal slumber. Driven by a fervent determination and fueled by an unyielding love he had yet to comprehend fully, the prince embarked on a perilous quest through thickets and treacherous paths, seeking the heart of the enchanted woods. The forest, shrouded in mystique and guarded by ancient magic, posed challenges at every turn. Yet, guided by an unwavering conviction and fueled by the whispers of a timeless love, the prince pressed forward, undeterred by the obstacles that sought to impede his journey. With each step, the forest seemed to acknowledge his pure intent, guiding him closer to the heart of its secrets. The prince braved thorns and thistles, traversing through the dense undergrowth until he arrived at the clearing where the glass coffin, adorned with delicate vines and shimmering with enchantment, held Snow White in her unending slumber. The dwarfs, guardians of the cursed princess, watched as the prince approached with cautious reverence. His eyes beheld the sleeping beauty, her countenance serene despite the curse that bound her. Heartfelt and resolute, the prince leaned in, his lips softly meeting those of Snow White, the embodiment of innocence and beauty. In that transcendent moment, fueled by a love that surpassed time itself, the curse that ensnared Snow White began to tremble and fade. A gentle warmth spread through the glass coffin, and a soft glow enveloped Snow White as the magic that had imprisoned her for so long began to relinquish its hold. The forest stirred with anticipation, and the dwarfs looked on in hopeful silence. And then, as if in response to the prince's sincere love, Snow White stirred, eyelids fluttering open to behold the prince gazing at her with an unwavering devotion. The curse was shattered, and she emerged from her prolonged slumber, breathing life into the enchantment that had held her captive for what seemed an eternity. The forest echoed with jubilation as Snow White, awakened by true love's kiss, found herself embraced by the warmth of the sun and the overwhelming joy of newfound freedom. The prince and the dwarfs rejoiced, their hearts alight with the triumph of love over the darkest of enchantments. Chapter 11: True Love's Kiss. As Snow White's eyes fluttered open, the enchantment that had held her captive for so long dissipated like morning mist beneath the sun's gentle rays. She found herself surrounded by the breathtaking beauty of the enchanted forest, its vibrant colors painting a tableau of celebration around her. Her gaze met the earnest eyes of the prince, his face aglow with a love that transcended time and space. Their hearts connected in a profound moment, understanding and gratitude passing between them without the need for words. The dwarfs, overwhelmed with joy, gathered around, their faces beaming with elation at the sight of Snow White, freed from the curse that had bound her to an eternal slumber. With a tender smile, Snow White rose from the glass coffin, her hand reaching for the prince's, their fingers intertwining as if to affirm the undeniable connection that had broken the curse. The forest echoed with the harmonious melodies of nature, celebrating the triumph of love over darkness. In the midst of their reunion, Snow White turned to the dwarfs, her loyal companions who had stood by her side through adversity. Gratefulness filled her heart as she embraced each of them, expressing her profound gratitude for their unwavering support and care. The enchantment that had once shrouded the forest now dissipated, unveiling its splendor to the world. Birds sang joyous melodies, flowers bloomed in vibrant hues, and the gentle breeze carried whispers of a love story that had conquered the forces of evil. With the prince by her side and the dwarfs as cherished friends, Snow White embarked on a new chapter of her life, a life filled with hope, love, and the promise of a future where kindness and compassion reigned. The princess and the prince, their hearts intertwined in an unbreakable bond, departed the enchanted forest, leaving behind a legacy of love and resilience that would echo through the ages. And thus, the story of Snow White, her undying courage, and the power of true love's kiss became a cherished tale, inspiring generations with its reminder that love, in its purest form, has the strength to conquer even the darkest of spells. Chapter 12: The Queen's Comeuppance. While the forest resounded with the joyous awakening of Snow White, a different scene unfolded beyond its verdant borders. The wicked queen, consumed by fury upon learning of Snow White's revival, set forth with malevolent intent, determined to finish what she had started. Her heart brimmed with malice as she ventured into the forest, seeking retribution against the one she deemed her rival. Intent on ensuring Snow White's demise, the queen's footsteps were guided by a vengeful determination that blinded her to the consequences of her dark desires. As she reached the clearing where the glass coffin had once held the sleeping princess, a bolt of lightning split the sky, illuminating the forest with an ominous glow. Ignoring the warning signs, the queen pressed on, her eyes fixated on the thought of Snow White's destruction. In her haste to unleash her wrath, she made a dire mistake, underestimating the power of justice and the forces that safeguarded the purity of love within the enchanted woods. As she raised her hand, poised to strike against Snow White, a sudden surge of energy surged through the forest. The elements themselves seemed to rebel against her malevolence, and with a deafening roar, a bolt of lightning descended, striking the queen with a forceful fury. In that electrifying moment, the queen's wicked intentions met their decisive end. The darkness she harbored within was vanquished, and her form dissipated into the ether, forever silenced by the consequences of her relentless pursuit of evil. The forest, witness to this confrontation between malevolence and justice, fell into a profound silence. The echoes of the queen's demise reverberated through the trees, a testament to the inevitable comeuppance that awaited those who sought to extinguish the light of goodness. Snow White, now free from the clutches of the queen's malice, continued her journey, embracing the newfound dawn of hope and love. The forest, cleansed of its darkness, returned to its serene tranquility, a testament to the victory of love over the forces of darkness that had once threatened to engulf it. Chapter 13: A Joyous Wedding. With the malevolence of the queen banished and the enchantment lifted from the forest, a sense of peace descended upon the kingdom. Snow White and the noble prince, their bond strengthened by the trials they had overcome, decided to unite their hearts in a joyous celebration of love. Word spread like wildfire across the land of the impending nuptials, and the kingdom buzzed with excitement. Invitations were sent far and wide, extending a heartfelt welcome to all who wished to partake in the grand celebration. The dwarfs, who had become an integral part of Snow White's life, stood as her loyal companions, rejoicing in the happiness that had graced their dear friend. Grumpy, happy, sleepy, bashful, sneezy, dopey, and Doc, with their hearts brimming with joy, assisted in the preparations for the momentous occasion. The kingdom adorned itself in resplendent attire, awash in vibrant colors and the fragrance of blossoming flowers. Festivities filled the air, and laughter echoed through the streets as people from all walks of life gathered to witness the union of Snow White and the prince. The day of the wedding arrived, and the palace gleamed with opulence, reflecting the radiance of love that filled its halls. Snow White, a vision of grace in her gown adorned with pearls and lace, walked down the aisle toward her beloved prince, who awaited her with unwavering devotion. Amidst a chorus of jubilant melodies and amidst the blessings of the kingdom, Snow White and the prince exchanged vows, sealing their eternal commitment to each other. The air resonated with the promises of love, loyalty, and unwavering support that they pledged in front of their cherished companions and the entire kingdom. The celebration that followed was a testament to the enduring power of love, uniting hearts and bridging divides. Music and dance filled the air, feasts of splendor delighted the guests, and the joyous ambience echoed the triumph of love over adversity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting hues of gold and pink across the sky, Snow White and the prince embarked on a new journey together, hand in hand, their hearts united in a bond that would withstand the tests of time. The kingdom basked in the warmth of their love, reveling in the promise of a future filled with prosperity, harmony, and enduring love. Chapter 14, Happily Ever After. In the wake of the joyous union between Snow White and the noble prince, their lives unfolded in a tapestry woven with love, kindness, and the fulfillment of a destiny entwined by fate. The kingdom flourished under the benevolent rule of the princess and her prince. Their reign brought an era of unparalleled prosperity and harmony, a testament to the compassion and wisdom that guided their decisions. The dwarfs, having played an integral role in Snow White's journey, remained cherished companions in the royal court. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, fostering a sense of camaraderie that transcended mere friendship. Together, they worked tirelessly to ensure the welfare of the kingdom's inhabitants, their actions driven by a shared commitment to uphold justice and extend compassion to all. Snow White's story became a cherished legend, passed down through generations, a testament to the enduring power of love and the triumph of goodness over adversity. Her unwavering courage and unwavering spirit continued to inspire those who heard her tale. The kingdom echoed with laughter and contentment, a reflection of the joy that Snow White and the prince had brought to their realm. Their love remained a beacon of hope, illuminating the path for future generations and instilling a belief in the enduring strength of love's embrace. And so, Snow White and the noble prince continued to rule with compassion, their hearts entwined in a bond that had weathered trials and triumphs. Their legacy endured, leaving an indelible mark on the kingdom, a testament to the enduring power of love and the promise of a happily ever after that surpassed the confines of a fairy tale. Chapter 15, A New Beginning. As the years wove their intricate tapestry, Snow White and the prince welcomed a new chapter in their lives, one adorned with the laughter and innocence of their own children. The castle walls reverberated with the melodies of childish laughter, filling every corner with warmth and joy. Their children, blessed with the grace and kindness inherited from their parents, roamed the halls of the palace, their laughter echoing through the corridors. Each footstep carried the promise of a future nurtured by the love and wisdom passed down through generations. Snow White and the prince, now graced with the mantle of parenthood, found solace in the joyous chaos that enveloped their abode. Their love, forged through trials and triumphs, formed the cornerstone of their children's upbringing, instilling values of compassion, integrity, and resilience. The legacy of their love endured, woven into the fabric of their children's lives and echoing through the kingdom. Tales of Snow White's unwavering courage and the prince's undying devotion became the foundation upon which the younger generation built their dreams. The kingdom flourished under the benevolent rule of Snow White and the prince, their children embracing the responsibility that came with their lineage, committed to upholding the values their parents had championed. The story of Snow White and the Enchanted Forest continued to captivate the hearts of all who heard it, a timeless reminder that beauty lies not merely in appearance but in the purity of one's heart and the depth of one's kindness. And so, the legacy of Snow White and the noble prince lived on, perpetuating a tale of love that transcended time and space, its magic spreading to all corners of the kingdom and beyond, a tale etched into the annals of history, ensuring that the essence of their love endured through the ages.